You ever stop and think about those little things you do? Those tiny quirks and habits? Well, what if they're not so random? Today, we're diving into some really fascinating psychological ideas that suggest our everyday actions, from our handwriting to how we curl up at night, might actually be spilling our deepest secrets.
So, yeah, let's get personal for a second. How are you sitting right now? Think about the way you sign your name. According to some theories, these aren't just meaningless behaviors. Nope, they're like little clues pointing directly to what's going on inside your head. All right, first up, let's dive into the physical tells. The small, almost automatic things we do. These might just be broadcasting our thoughts and feelings to the entire world, and we don't even have to say a single word.
Okay, let's start with something we all do: handwriting. There's this super interesting theory that connects the speed of your mind to the speed of your pen. The idea is if your brain is just racing with thoughts and ideas, your hand can barely keep up, right? And that leads to a messier script. But on the flip side, if you have really neat handwriting, it could signal a more careful, methodical way of thinking. So which one are you? And it's not just handwriting. Here are a few other common behaviors that some people think are signs of what's going on inside. That shaky leg thing? Often linked to pent-up energy or anxiety. Or sleeping all curled up in a tight ball could point to a deep-seated need to feel safe and secure. It's a wild idea, isn't it? That our bodies might be physically holding on to stuff from our past? Okay, so we've covered the physical stuff. Now let's get a little deeper and move into the even more complicated world of our emotions. It turns out our emotional strength and our past wounds can show up in some really surprising ways. I mean, this is a classic stereotype, right? We've all heard it, the idea that if you cry, you're weak or you're just too emotional. But what if that's completely backward? Yeah, this idea completely flips that stereotype on its head. It suggests that people who are comfortable enough to cry aren't weak at all. They might actually be stronger because they're not bottling up their emotions. They're facing them, they're processing them. And that kind of emotional honesty, that's a form of resilience. Wow, this one really hits home, doesn't it? It suggests that real wisdom doesn't come from a textbook. It comes from experience, especially the tough stuff. The person who's been through the most is often the one who can hand you the best map for your own journey. And this one, it's kind of beautiful, but also a little heartbreaking. The idea is that deep kindness and empathy can sometimes grow right out of our own pain. When you understand what it feels like to be hurt, you might just work that much harder to make sure nobody else feels that way. All right, so we've looked inward at our habits and our emotions. Now, let's turn that lens outward. Let's explore how all this internal stuff plays out in our social lives and in our relationships with other people. Okay, let's talk social signals, the red flags and the green flags. A potential red flag: someone who tries to become your absolute best friend overnight. Or the classic people pleaser, who, ironically, often ends up feeling totally alone. On the green flag side, you've got things like a firm, confident handshake or a deep tone of voice, which can signal self-assurance. Now, this is a really important one to remember. For people who are truly self-centered, it's like their world is a mirror, and they're the only thing they see. It doesn't matter how much you do for them or how much kindness you show them, it might not even register. It's a good reminder to be really mindful of where you're putting your energy. For our final section, let's pop the hood and look at the engine that drives all of this, the human brain. We're going to check out a few surprising facts about its health, its peak performance times, and how we can take better care of it. Get ready for this number, because it is staggering. 15. Some researchers are saying that chronic loneliness can be as damaging to your physical health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Just let that sink in. It's an absolutely powerful reminder that our social connections are not just a nice-to-have, they are vital for our physical well-being. Looking for a simple little brain hack? Try scheduling your toughest mental tasks between 5 and 7 p.m. Apparently, that's the 2-hour window when your brain is firing on all cylinders. It's at its most active and efficient. Hey, give it a shot, see if it works for you. So let's wrap this all up with a few practical things you can actually do to keep your brain healthy. Talking to yourself. Yep, it's good for you. Learning to let go of the past, getting enough sleep, that's a huge one. And even traveling. These are all real, actionable ways you can support the amazing engine that drives everything we've been talking about.
So, after all of that, from tiny habits to big emotions, what's the big picture? What does this all mean? Let's boil it all down to the key takeaways. Okay, if you walk away remembering just 3 things today, let it be these. First, our bodies are telling stories, even when our mouths are shut. Second, real strength isn't about hiding your feelings, it's about acknowledging them. And third, our social health is our physical health. The bottom line is our inner and outer worlds are completely, totally connected.
And that's the last thing I want to leave you with. As you go about your day tomorrow, which one of these ideas is going to stick with you? Which one might make you look at yourself or maybe someone else just a little bit differently? Thanks so much for joining me.